Welcome to Light Camera Author. I'm your host, Jim Juneau. Doctor Who is one of the most iconic television series in history, first gracing British screens in 1963. While the Doctor may be the centerpiece of the show, he wouldn't be the same Time Lord without the many companions who have shared his adventures across space and time. But how much do we really know about the people behind those companions? A new book sets out to answer that question. Doctor Who, an Encyclopaedia of Companion Actors by Dana Fox, is the first of its kind, a comprehensive guide to the actors who have played the Doctor's companions throughout the show's remarkable run. Inside, readers will find detailed biographies, a complete timeline of companion arrivals and departures, and exclusive original interviews with cast members. Whether you're a die-hard Whovian or a curious newcomer, this encyclopedia serves as both a rich reference tool and a heartfelt tribute to the performers who helped bring the TARDIS to life. Beyond just the facts, Dana Fox brings a personal lens to the show's legacy, tracing its origins to 1963, exploring its evolution across the decades, and highlighting the talent and dedication of the companion actors right up to present day. Doctor Who, an Encyclopedia of Companion Actors, is not only an informative guide, it's a loving homage to the cornerstone of British sci-fi television. And today, Dana Fox joins us on Light Camera Author. Dana Fox, welcome to Light Camera Author.
Hello, thanks for having me, Jim.
Now, this is your new book is published by Pen and Sword Books, and it's entitled Doctor Who, an Encyclopedia of Companion Actors. And you have really delved into a deep dive into 63 years of companions for the Doctor. And what led you to do this?
Well, I mean, it said deep dive. It was more like 58 or 59 deep dives and really, really quick like into these people. It was I took on a lot more than I thought I was taking on. Um, but going a little bit back to the beginning, I have a friend called Mark Burrows, and he's written a couple of really good books with pen and sword. The Magic of Terry Pratchett was one that he'd already written. Really good book. He's a really nice guy. Um, and I don't recall who communicated with who first, but he told me Pen and Sword, his publishers, were looking to have a Doctor Who book written. So in a way, I totally cheated and leapfrogged over the whole uh, applying to do a book, sending a manuscript and doing all that. I knew they wanted a book written, and he just said, you'd be perfect for it. And I went, do you know what? That's not the book that I originally wanted to write, but I will do it. So I wrote this whole um, kind of plan, and I knew that they wanted a book, a non-fiction book, encyclopedic of some sort. And I thought, well, what's not been done before? There's lots of in-universe Doctor Who encyclopedias, and many of them are really good, but they're all in-universe. There's very little about um, the actual human beings and their lives and what led them up to the show and where they went afterwards. And I thought that'd be really interesting because, in a weird way, it's going to sound very strange, but I'm a bit of a voyeur when it comes to celebrities. I think we all are in a way, but I'm quite open about it. I'm like, wow. Um, when they really interest me, I'm like, so where did they grow up? What's their formative years like? Why are they here? Why am I watching them on this show? What does it
Yeah.
mean to them? I don't know. I just find that really interesting, and I thought, well, I've been watching Doctor Who since I was about 5. Um, and excuse me, and then when it ended, I was reliant on VHS videos and stuff. And then when it came back, so all in all, I know quite a bit. I thought I've got the groundwork done. What can I do that would challenge me? So I did this, and it was a challenge.
Now, you go all the way back to 1963. Let me ask you, in your opinion, and for when creating this book, what qualifies a person or an actor rather as a companion? Because I see, according to who you look at, some people are on the show one time, others are on the show for many years. or several years. So, what in your eyes, in creating this book, what makes a companion to Doctor Who?
Hmm. It was one of the first questions that I really gave some thought to because primarily the book had to be a certain length, or rather, I was constrained. This book could have been double the size had I had the page and word count. um, but I thought, well, yeah, how do I define this? So it would be easy for me to say what I think, but I thought, well, this is a book written by me, but this is not a book for me. So I that was where my first bit of research came in. Like, how do we define this? And I there are certain qualities that a companion, because although we're talking about the actor, the companion is what defines whether the actor's going to be in the book or not. And it was more a case of like, well, surely they must have traveled in the TARDIS. Sounds like a given, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not because Liz Shaw, character
Never,
companion, she never traveled in the TARDIS,
no.
and yet she's regarded as a companion. What about like surely then maybe they would have had to be in successive episodes or lots or a generous helping. If you're a companion, you're there for the duration. Well, I mean that made me think. Well, what about Dr. Grace Holloway? I mean, she is a companion, no question. Yet she was only in the Doctor Who movie. And the more I kind of thought, well, okay, that there are lots of loopholes here. There are lots of people who are generally regarded as companions, and yet they don't fit all this little magical ticky box list that I'm doing. So I thought, let's dispense with that and let's look at what the general consensus is. Um, and that's how I came up with my list. But I had to draw the line somewhere. Um, Otherwise, recurring guest characters where the book, like I said, it could have been twice as long, perhaps. So I did have to draw the line somewhere.
How many companions did you end up with?
I believe it was 58.
58. Oh my goodness. And that's from 1963 up until the modern day,
Yeah.
with Judy Gatwa as the doctor.
Yeah.
Or let, let's ask a loaded question here.
Go
At the
on.
at the end of the last Doctor Who episode, a new one, there was Billie Piper,
Mhm.
who was a companion, Rose Tyler. Um, Let me ask you this: do you believe she is the first companion to become the Doctor?
I'll tell you what I believe, and it's informed by how I imagine it's working behind the scenes, because there's a lot of chatter about Doctor Who now as to whether it's coming back. It probably is. When it's coming back, I don't think we know yet. There's a lot of news, constant news streams, and I don't have a chance to keep up to date with all of them. So these questions may have already been answered. I don't know. I think there's something very, very exciting to do with the story arc that's coming. I don't think she's going to be permanently the Doctor. I think it's just too bonkers. And that's not something I thought I would ever say about Doctor Who, but the show seems to have taken this twisty turny dive into magic, which I think is just fascinating to see. And I think this is part of that. But I think a resolution will happen, and I think we're going to see a little bit with Billy Piper as the Doctor. But I do think the rug will be pulled out from under us at some point.
You raise a good point there that it's gotten involved with magic in a way, and I'm a Doctor Who fan from all the way back to John Pertwee days. I mean, I watched it when it was on the American public television channels, and now it looks like, and this is my opinion. All the Whovians out there, please don't kill me, but this is just my opinion. Um, it looked like it got a little bit gimmicky,
Hmm.
where let's make the doctor a woman. Let's make the doctor uh bring back David Tennant. Let's do bi generation. Let's make the doctor black. Um and again, those are all. bold decisions and stuff. But I kind of miss the days when the doctor was just like a professor,
Hmm.
as Ace would call him. So what do you think about that statement?
Well, um, I loved the I liked the appeal of Peter Capaldi. He reminded me
Yeah.
very much of that kindly uncle, almost unapproachable in an interpersonal way,
Hmm.
dangerous,
I did
like
too. I love
Sylvester
that about
McCoy's
him.
Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Sylvester McCoy's Doctor, like the Seventh Doctor. Um, a bit of a showman, very much like John Pertwee, but
Hmm.
still very alien. And I don't think that's I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I I'm not sure about the word gimmicky. I think, I mean, there's certainly, I don't think there's anything gimmicky about having a female doctor or having a black doctor. I think when what the show has always done best is, um, as well as it's been allowed to, is inclusivity and
Yeah.
representing people who watch the show. It's a very queer show,
Hmm.
and it appeals to people who feel outside of the mainstream, which is ironic because it's a very mainstream, popular
Hmm.
show. It has been for a long time. So it has that very, very slippery way of appealing to the outsider, people who, for whatever reason, because of their gender, race, sexuality, or whatever, feel excluded. And I don't think it's gimmicky. I think it's just going, you know what, we have the freedom to do this now on TV. When they didn't before, they had to very much codify it. There was a lot of queer coding
Yes.
in television before, of course, and Doctor Who's not exempt from that.
And I
And I
don't want,
think,
I hate to sound like an old Seinfeld episode, but there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, I mean, I thought Jodie Whittaker was a fine actress, and I thought she was great in the role, but I thought she may have been saddled with some substandard scripts,
yeah,
that sort of thing, and I, I said that to somebody, and they go, "Yeah, you always blame the writers," and I'm like, "Well, yeah."
the writers make it. Jodie
Exactly.
Whittaker is a fantastic actress. I've seen her in many things
And so
before.
is and so is Judy Gatwa. I mean, he
Yeah,
is
yeah.
incredible. Um, I did like the Beatles episode.
Yes.
Uh, what
We
was it?
all like
The
that.
chord, the Devil's Chord. That's what it was. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, and it got nominated for an Emmy. The choreography in that,
Hmm.
which
And right, so it was gobsmacking so when I watch Doctor Who, it's kind of like tricky for me because I don't have a TV license. So I don't watch live TV. I refuse to have a TV license. I'm just one of those guys. It's just an extra expense I can do without. But this means that I get to go around to my friend's house. We all convene once every couple of weeks when Doctor Who's on. So I miss a couple of episodes in a row, and then we all convene and watch it on a big, beautiful screen. And so we were watching that particular episode, in fact, all of those episodes on this massive screen, and that was the way to watch it. It deserved that nomination. It really did.
it
And I
was.
think, you know what, I'm a big lover of sci-fi, of actual science fiction. And I must admit, when the sci-fi didn't disappear, but it certainly took a back seat to this magic, because this fantasy element, because there's obviously a big difference between fantasy and sci-fi, and we saw more of that. And I was like, I'm not so sure about this. And that lasted about 10 minutes before I was like, this is amazing. I love the direction, and the direction will change again. Don't know where, don't know how, but
Now,
yeah.
you mentioned something in that answer. You don't have a television license now. Now you're in Kent in the UK,
Yes.
and I'm based in Richmond, Virginia, in USA. So American listeners may be wondering what a television license is, because we can just go into any store, pick up a TV, and plop it down, and and watch it. But it's a little bit different over there, isn't it?
So in Britain we have this has always been the way, even when there were analog channels, when there were only, well, there were only four.
Hmm.
Um, we have certain channels, the BBC, they don't have advertising on. Now, advertising pays for a TV channel, basically. So the BBC channels don't have advertising, so they don't earn revenue on that. So they've got to make the money somehow to do their what they do. And if you don't have a TV license, you cannot legally watch live television on the BBC. You have to
Wow.
watch, and it's a bit of it's a funny thing because Doctor Who being placed in the contemporary culture has always been affected by these things. So this might sound a little bit off-piste, but it's actually very relevant
Hmm.
because the big talk about removing the BBC television license, about making it not a thing anymore. Um, and I don't work for the BBC, so I don't know the figures, but I imagine with the influx of streaming shows and that horizontalization of how you can watch things now, all above board, totally legally with subscriptions and stuff, they must be suffering. So they have to
Yes.
adapt, and that will probably feed into um, the shows they produce and how they continue with Doctor Who, because they'll have a lot less money, I imagine.
Yeah, and over here in America, the last few years of Doctor Who has been on the Disney Plus
Yeah.
streaming platform, which may or may not be going away for Doctor Who. And we're getting off topic here, but just so we were trying to educate American viewers about what it's like over in Britain, and but getting back to the companions, you must have a favorite companion.
Yes, I do. My favorite companion immediately would be Ace, without
A
hesitation. Yeah,
with the
yeah.
Nitro Nine.
Just I I remember her when I was 5 on TV, and then it ended, and then I
Mhm.
had 15 years possibly of it not being there. But I remember just thinking she was awesome, and I went and bought, like I said, lots of videos and VHSs, and one of the first ones I bought was The Curse of Fenric. And I grew up with that VHS along with a couple of others. It was my first introduction to Doctor Who. And so it wasn't just the fact that, she was this, um, tomboyish kind of caricature. Actually, there was only one incident of her blowing something up in The Curse of Fenric. Um, but the story arc with her that was kind of contained, that hinted at um, her being manipulated by this evil power, and the Doctor in turn manipulating her as well. I mean, by then I must have been, what, 7 or 8, and I was fascinated. And so I've always enjoyed characters which seem to be at the whim of these forces, both good and bad. That's always appealed to me,
Mhm.
probably because of that. So yeah,
You must have been thrilled when they brought her back for the 15th during the I'm sorry, 14th Doctor. No,
I
13th Doctor.
like Ace. I don't scream very much, but when I knew that was happening, I believe I was in uproar.
And for those of you who do not know Doctor Who has been on the air since 1963 in some form or another. There was some wilderness years in the late 80s up until 2005, I believe. And now it's back stronger, probably stronger than ever. Um, the the favorite doctor, what's your favorite doctor? Or who's your favorite doctor? Let me put it that way.
The really difficult one. Um, do I just have to have one?
No, you can have several. We'll talk as well.
Um, so I'm kind of keeping sort of era specific here, but Sylvester McCoy entranced me for much the same reasons. There was much more to him, and there was much more to him that we didn't see because his time was relatively limited. It was cut short.
Right.
Uh, the storylines that were going to happen, that were going to be resolved, never did. Now, I think most people, many people may find that frustrating. I love a mystery and I love being left with a cliffhanger that never gets resolved. I'm a weirdo like that. I love shows that just have a complete lack of continuity or resolution. I really do. There's something about it that just makes me feel like it's a lot more real.
See,
Like,
I'm an old school person. I grew up with Pertwee and Tom Baker, but
mm,
I did like I may get some heat about this, but Paul McGann. I really thought that he was going to be a good doctor.
yeah,
You know,
he was exactly what was needed for that movie. And anyone, they got it right with him. They really did. He was flamboyant enough to be the doctor, but he was just, forgive me, but he was British enough. He really
yes.
just owned it. And not saying that an American cannot be the Doctor. There was absolutely no reason, but it was a risky thing to bring it back in that format, and
Mhm.
he owned it. He was brilliant. It was brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah. And they brought him back for the 50th episode, I believe, the 50th year. So we finally got to see him as a doctor. And
yeah,
um, you also for this book interviewed several companions.
he did. Yeah,
Were they open to that'd be interesting. Were they open to being talking about their days as a Doctor Who companion?
I couldn't shut him up. Honestly, I was when I was writing the book, when I was doing my notes, when I was doing the biographies, all the factual stuff, I always knew that I was going to have to make this a little bit different and a little bit more of a standout from just an encyclopedic thing. All the information is out there. Well, all of it is on my bookshelves now because I spent so much on research materials. But um, and I thought, well, what else? This is about the people. So who best to tell me about themselves than the actual people themselves? So I sent a flurry of emails out to any contact details of PAs or management agencies. And in this day and age, a lot of public figures, they have Twitter, they have social media, they're not difficult to get in touch with. And so I got a couple of no thank yous, but it was nice to hear back from people, just really human, like I don't have time right now, or I can't because of this. And I was like, that's cool. Like, thanks very much. I just got an email from, well, I'm not going to say who it was, but I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then started getting emails saying, yeah, sure, that'd be lovely. When are you free? I'm like, the first one first person I did was Mark Strickson, um, and he was just an absolutely. I don't think I've ever been so comfortable with another human being who has been so important to me and ever. It was just 5 minutes, and you feel like you're talking to just a really nice bloke.
Mark
Um,
Strickson was no refresh my memory because I'm 65. I'm having some he we
Mark Strickson was Turlough. He was in Peter
oh
David,
Turlo. Okay.
Evil Turlough. And
Yes.
yeah, so he
And
got back in touch pretty swiftly, and he was just magnificent. And that was just the lift that I needed because I was very nervous. I'm not going to lie, I was
yes.
really nervous about talking to these people because they're really important to me. And a couple of things like, well, what if they don't? Sounds really weird. What if they don't live up to my expectations? Which is bonkers thing to say, but I'm just being honest. We all have that. Um, and Um, and I was like, well, what if they're so fed up of talking about Doctor Who, if they really don't want to like talk about it? I was like, no, just shut up. They've emailed back. They clearly want to talk. Go for it. And he was just super nice. And all the interviews were great. And it was because talking to Mark came first that it was just a really pleasant interview.
Who was the oldest I hate to say that. Who was the furthest back who you were able to get hold of? Was it um Susan? I know the character's name is Susan Foreman, the granddaughter, but
Hmm. I didn't actually speak to her, but I did speak to Peter Purvis, who played
oh
Steven Taylor rather.
yeah.
Um, and again, he could not have been more open. In fact, in his own words, I think I either said at the end of the interview, is there anything that you want to say, anything that you want to be remembered for? And he just went, I'm an open book. Everything's cool. And he really was. He was just very, very open, very to the point, very funny. He has a wry sense of humor lurking below below the surface, and it pops up. But he was just again, it was great company. That's what it felt like.
Now you said that Ace was your favorite companion. Now that's from what people call the classic era. That was
Mhm.
with Sylvester McCoy as the Doctor. Of the modern era, who would be your favorite companion? And don't say K9.
I'm not. I'm so not going to say canine. Um, I have a massive soft spot for Bill Potts.
Oh, really? Okay.
Paul Mackey played her.
Yes, great actress.
Yeah, yeah, she is. She's having seen her in a couple of things again since. She's such a great actress that I didn't recognize her at some in some of her roles. I can't even remember what it was. It took me about one whole episode. She wasn't a main character, but she was fairly present. And it took me one whole episode before I went, "That's Bill Potts." She's she's a chameleon. She's really good. Um, I wish I'd been able to interview her, but it wasn't possible, sadly. Um,
Were you able to get any of the modern companions to interview? Yeah.
it was difficult, and I know why. I'll venture why I know why. A lot of them are still under contracts, I imagine. Contracts that we don't know about, contracts that might say, and if we need you back within the next 7 years or something, then
Hmm.
you whatever. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know much about the industry in that sense. And a lot of them are still working actors and actresses. And I imagine that when you do Doctor Who, it's a slippery kind of thing, I guess, to be involved in. It
Oh,
has always had its trap of like typecasting. It's not so that everything is so fluid and dynamic in terms of acting and TV these days that I think it's easier not to be typecast. But I do think that you want to just kind of keep moving forward. And so
exactly.
it was challenging to get people because not enough time had elapsed. And I understood that, and in a way, I suspected that.
I'll be fully honest with you. My favorite companion from the classic era was probably many people's Sarah Jane Smith,
Oh,
Elizabeth Sladen.
I
You
know.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, and but in the modern era, of course, I loved Billie Piper as the first companion. She was excellent, and I hope she's hope she's the new Doctor. But Freema Guyman
Oh,
was
yes.
incredible as Martha Jones. I mean, I believe that was her name, Martha Jones.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
you
She
know,
was solid. She was solid. I think when it comes to all the companions and all the people, and I'm just looking at all the names because I mean there are just so many. And
oh,
if I kind of look down the kind of the index of the book, and I'm looking at all these names, and they jump out, and they're all kind of like they all just have such a strong presence, even if they were only there for a short while. And yeah, Free Magimon, she, yeah, she was cool.
do you have any more books planned?
Well, okay, I'm gonna let you in on something, but don't tell anyone apart from all the people listening. Okay, um,
And watching on YouTube.
I'm watching. Um, when I set out to write a book, it was not this book. I wanted to write a book about another British TV show, which was on in the late 70s and early 80s, called Sapphire and Steel. Are you familiar with it?
Yes, Sapphire and Steel. And I can see the actors in my head right now, and being 65 years old, my name is escaping me, but yes, they were spies. They were
Oh, they were extra dimensional, non-human.
Yes, that's what it was. Adventurers
They
or
were
whatever you want to
Joanna
call them.
Lumley and David McCallum. Joanna Lumley being famous for
David
many things.
McCallum.
David
That's
McCallum, indeed, yeah. Sadly, no longer with us. But yeah, I that show is just so special to me because I do, I don't use this term as with any flippancy, but it is absolutely unique. Um,
Joanna Lumley
that's
was in
right.
that. That's why I was thinking of Ab Fab,
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah, so
So
that's you're working
I
on
mean,
that now.
I wanted to write that, and I sort of showed my idea to the publisher, um, and I think it got as far as one email before they just said, "That's really niche." I was like, "I know, isn't it brilliant?" Because in my mind, when something's niche, that means it's exciting and wonderful. And they were like, but for a publisher, they're like, "We'd like to actually sell some books." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, okay." So it looks like I'm going to do this backwards, and I will eventually write my Sapphire and Steel book. Whether it gets published so efficiently or not is another thing.
Hopefully, well, when it comes out, I'm no doubt it's going to be published. I hope to have you back on the show here.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
And the book is Doctor Who, an Encyclopedia of Companion Actors. It's out now, I believe.
It is. It was published just 2 months ago, and yeah, it's available on. Well, Pen and Sword have a dedicated website to selling their books. It's on Amazon. Every time have Googled it, it's on book selling websites, both national and international, that I've
International.
never heard of. So yeah,
Fantastic. Well, I tell you what, Dana Fox is the author. I hope I'm pronouncing it. It's not Dana.
no, it's
Dana.
Dana.
Okay.
You got it
Okay.
absolutely right. Yeah, you're probably the
And
only person in the universe who gets it right. But yes,
I really want to thank you for being on Lights Camera Author today.
thank you for having me.
All right, let me go ahead.